And we are live. Welcome to yet another episode of this YouTube series where we, as Luna.ai, interview over 100 sales professionals to figure out what we need to do to build the ultimate sales AI tool. Today, I'm joined by Tyler England, but before I give him the floor to introduce himself, I wanted to introduce myself. So I'm Steven, as most of you people know. I'm one of the co-founders of Luna.ai. Luna.ai is a software platform where we're using AI to help you do your lead generation, basically. So we use AI to find your perfect leads, to scrape the entire internet. So basically to find everything there is to find about these leads, and then to write mind-blowing sales emails. And as you know, we want to do much more than that, which is why we are interviewing sales professionals to see how they got started, how they're filling their days, and basically what they're doing, and share that information with all of you. So without further ado, Tyler, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation. To get started, can you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, of course. So Tyler England, I'm at a company called LiveReach AI. We incorporate AI models overlaid with video surveillance or CCTV footage, be able to derive business intelligence analytics for organizations. So been in sales for a number of years, probably going on 20 years or so. Been in tech, probably about half that. But yeah, just love the fast paced and had a lot of success. So looking forward to the conversation.
I can imagine. Thanks so much for that. It's very cool. What kind of companies is LiveReach targeting at this moment? What would you say is your ideal customer profile?
Yeah, so we work with really a lot of different verticals. So the company started working actually with airports. So kind of a strange niche to go after. But
nice.
If you think of an airport, right, there's a lot of analytics to be driven from that. So you've got, a sign that says, hey, if you're pre-check, expect X number of minutes as a wait. If you're general boarding, it's Y number of minutes. That's LiveReach in the background that's analyzing, people standing in this queue to be able to derive those analytics. And then from there was just a good market fit to move into other verticals also. So things like auto services, nonprofits, manufacturing. There's so many cameras and so much video that's being, installed and generated on a daily basis. And traditionally, these systems have been very, antiquated, for lack of a better term, right? They're just a purely reactionary system where something happened and now we need to go look at video to be able to see what happened. But we're moving to a mindset where people want to be more proactive and know, hey, my cameras are looking at everything. I want to know what's happening right now. So being able to put in really cool AI models to be able to, monitor for occupancy, monitor for abnormalities like, falls or, crowds gathering faster than expected. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Being able to incorporate those models based on what's good for an organization. So, that's a really long-winded answer, basically, to say that if somebody has cameras and there's interest in gathering that data, probably a good fit.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's a very interesting answer, actually, because when I was checking out LiveReach before, you basically, the website says a lot about security and safety and stuff like that, but you can actually use it for much more than that. So cameras in general are installed for basically if something happens, then you can see later, okay, what happened, who was it, and stuff like that. But doing stuff in real life that does not necessarily have something to do with security or with safety, that actually opens a realm of possibilities for you. That's very cool.
Yeah, and with the benefits of AI, it's constantly improving models, and there's not really a limit of the possibilities. So we work really closely with our customers. We look at that as a partnership, like I'm sure most, if not all organizations do with their customers. But we get a lot of feedback based on feature requests or, UI tweaks or whatever that may be. And we have a really good track record of incorporating that into the platform.
That sounds awesome. There's also something that I think a lot of early stage companies. It's basically both a blessing and a curse, right? If you can do a lot of things for a lot of different kind of companies, because that also let's maybe rephrase the question. If you were to approach an airport and they ask me, they would ask you like, what can you do for us?
Mm-hmm.
How did you determine what the right answer was? Because from the sound of it, you can basically help them with everything.
Yeah. So, an airport I would say would be kind of an outlier as far as the use case, because we're not focused on wanting to be their surveillance system, right? So from an airport, it would be, hey, your passengers, people that are flying through that airport every day, those are your customers. So how can we make your customers happier, using your existing infrastructure, right? So like I mentioned, being able to give them an idea of, hey, this line is 4 minutes long and this line is 10 minutes long, right? Being able to set realistic expectations for their customers. For other organizations like a manufacturing company, it may be, they want to be able to track, production lines and make sure that if there's an error that they can really easily go back and find that particular frame to be able to see what happened. Or, oftentimes we hear, hey, the platform in general, it's really easy to access because it's browser based. Traditionally, systems have been locked into a specific workstation. So having a computer on site that has access to their cameras, and if their IT manager or their operations director lives 45 minutes away and something happens at 2:00 in the morning, traditionally, unfortunately, that person has to drive 45 minutes at 2:00 in the morning to look at a camera to see what happened. So, being browser based and having everything, API driven and essentially using URLs, roll over, click a link on your phone, look at your camera right there, see what happened, and roll back over and go to bed. So,
gotcha.
It's
that's an easy business case to make, especially if the IT person is your buying persona. They're like, if I can get a good night's sleep out of this, then sign up.
Exactly.
Very nice. How long have you been working for LiveReach?
Just under a year. So for a long time, I was working actually at a competitor, doing similar, AI models with video. I was there for a couple of years, and then transitioned over to big data actually, and was there for a bit, and then had the opportunity to come back and be the first sales hire at LiveReach. So middle this coming just about a month, 11 months, I think, almost exactly is how long I've been at LiveReach.
Very cool. So almost congratulations.
I think I'll make it. Nice. So
that's perfect. What did the product look like when you first joined compared to what you guys are doing now? Was there a lot of change? A lot of basically did the product develop a lot since you got started?
Yeah, great question. So, from a sales perspective, I was lucky that the product was, in my mind, pretty mature. The company's actually been around since 2018, but it's privately funded. We have no venture capital backing, which is a benefit because we can be really nimble, and we don't, there's not a lot of bureaucracy. There's not a lot of red tape to have to go through to be able to make decisions and pivot. One of the benefits of being browser based is lots of releases, right? We have updates or releases or firmware updates or whatever that may be about every 2 or 3 weeks. So compared to 11 months ago, there's been a lot of updates and a lot of improvement. But as I mentioned, from a sales perspective, that was kind of one of my vetting questions, more or less, is where is the product at? Where does it need to go? And it was pretty mature 11 months ago, so got lucky.
That's awesome. And it's a good description that you say you got lucky, because I think it's one of the, well, I don't know, wouldn't want to call it risk, because it also has like a negative, a bit of a negative vibe, but there's a risk involved that you are basically like partly product manager and partly a sales manager, because you're like basically you want to sell a product, but if the product market fit is not there yet, then you're basically just carrying feedback back and forth. So it's cool to see that that wasn't the case when you got started. Did that also mean that, let's say, I can imagine that the founding team or the leadership team, they're like, okay, we have this product, it is pretty mature, so we're gonna bring on Tyler as our first sales hire. Did it also mean that there was like a lot of pressure on you to perform? That they were like, okay, this is the product, go start running, and we're gonna put all of the, like, we're gonna be, as a company, the growth of the company is gonna be completely dependent on you? Or how did you experience that?
Yeah. Honestly, looking back, I would say, yes, that's accurate. But at the time, it didn't really feel like that, which for me, I think is good. And then for anybody, really. And what I mean by that is when I was introduced to LiveReach and had conversation with the founding team and the president of the company, because I already had experience in the industry, I felt like I knew what the right questions were to ask. I felt like I knew what more or less the requirements of the company needed to be and where the product needed to be in order for me to have success and, in turn for the company to have success. So
that makes sense.
I think that's really important in any organization and any job search, right? Of course, you've got people that are breaking in and they're not an expert yet in any one vertical or any one technology, but when you can really become that expert over time, you find really what that niche is that interests you and where you can have success, then it comes pretty easy. So I didn't really feel a lot of pressure just because I had asked those questions and seen where things were at. So I was pretty confident, honestly, that I would be able to have success. And then I think the company, more or less knew what they were getting, for lack of a better term. So, I don't think there was too much worry on the company side just because of past results as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And if you look back, like when in the first months when you started, do you feel like you've also done something, maybe subconsciously and not necessarily consciously, to like mitigate a bit of that pressure? So at least like you said, the pressure was there, but it didn't feel like that. Was there also something you did, maybe out of experience and in a natural thing, that basically that basically helped to lower the pressure from the founding team?
Definitely. I would say for any, for anybody getting into sales or anybody that's moving into a new role, I would really try to get as much knowledge and really involve yourself as much as possible in different aspects of the business. How is customer success interacting with my accounts or my customers? How is marketing, how's that engine working to be able to get leads and acquire new business? How is the engineering team? What's their type of velocity? What does a product roadmap look like? So I would recommend, immersing yourself in as much of the business as possible, which I have done in the past. And that truly was a huge benefit coming to LiveReach, just because I've been able to say, hey, we have this thing and we have customers, but we need more customers. So how can we do that? And being able to have that experience to say, hey, this is how marketing has been successful at this other organization, in a similar capacity, similar type company. Or, hey, this is how customer success was really successful interacting with customers, which in turn, led to, a lot of expand growth. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, coming in, there was this company and they had a cool product, but there was, kind of just going in circles, right? There's no, we got to put that engine on so we can drive where we want to. So having that experience and being able to, give input and recommendations on what that could look like has really paid off.
That makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Thank you so much also for sharing that. That is I think very valuable for people listening, especially the ones that are just getting started at a new role and they're experiencing that pressure. That's also what we hear from a lot of people that we are talking with, not only like in these kind of interviews, but also users. They're like, especially for example, when I'm giving a demo, they're like, I just got started in this role, and I just need a couple of meetings. I just need to get them off my back and like show them that I'm the right person for the job, and then go from there. So I really appreciate you sharing that. That's a very good one. Maybe an interesting question. You mentioned the marketing teams and lead generation and stuff like that. Can you share a bit more about what your like high over sales process looks like at this moment?
Yeah, definitely. So, having a product that has a pretty big addressable market is almost like a double-edged sword, because we have appeal from, really small SMBs with, a small number of customers or employees, up to, Fortune 100 companies that have hundreds of thousands of employees. So, when you're trying to move up market and work with those larger organizations, in a product like LiveReach, there is difficulty because, somebody, a Fortune 100 company has hundreds of locations across the country or across the world. And, they're almost run like individual small companies. And so when there's outreach from one of these companies, there is, pain trying to figure out, hey, was it this location that was in New York, or is it this location that was in California, or, where is this, hand raising coming from? So a lot of, demand generation based on, people's search activity, intent signals, there needs to, from our perspective, needs to be a lot of emphasis put on that type of, marketing, in order to just kind of drown out the noise.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. Does that mean that you're mostly working with inbound leads, or do you also have an outbound motion?
So we do have an outbound motion as well, targeted ads, everybody knows how crazy email's getting nowadays. So, making sure that there's a really good email that can go out to, a really good ICP. So there is some outbound motion. I think everybody is trying to figure out what that looks like. The 5 years ago, just mass email everybody and send thousands of emails a minute doesn't work anymore.
Exactly.
So it's
especially since the cost of sending an email and the cost of generating an email, you don't even have to generate an email yourself, like write an email yourself anymore. You can just generate one and start blasting. Yeah, we see a lot of those solutions in the market as well, where it is, and it's also interesting. Like we have multiple email addresses for Luna, and one of these email addresses, I just cannot use it anymore because I get over 100 cold emails a day. So like the entire email address, like the entire inbox is just useless to me now, because someone sometimes emails me, but I just miss it because I don't check it anymore. And that's probably what's going to happen to everyone if we start sending more and more and more emails. So it's very cool to hear that you're really focused on that quality. Like if someone needs to be like a true ICP, and maybe some hand raising needs to have happened, or they need to have interacted with the ads or something like that before you start reaching out to them.
Yeah, and it's, we're having to be really focused and targeted. Nobody woke up this morning and said, I feel like buying a camera system, or I want to have AI models in my camera system. So there really has to be, somebody that's in a buying motion, or that it's already been budgeted for that year. There has to be a project that, that exists, or else a deal's not going to happen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Are you using AI in your sales process at this moment?
Yeah. I would say it obviously helps and makes the process more efficient. Just like LiveReach is constantly getting better and the models are improving, I would say that's the same for, Luna or any other AI product, where, it's ever going to be perfect? Probably not, but everybody's constantly trying to get it to that point. So I would say I don't wholly rely on AI for sure. Just, I don't think it's really been able to come up with the perfect email quite yet. There needs to be some tweaking and, some modification based on a specific industry or specific customer profile, specific roles, but it's definitely getting better.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's also an interesting one. Do you think there is going to be a time where you can be, or maybe are going to be completely reliant on AI in your sales process?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school, which seems crazy because I don't feel old. But I think AI. I look at it as machine learning, and it's getting better. But is it ever going to know anything? I don't know. I would argue probably not. So I would say I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I'm completely trusting AI just to let it go and do its thing. I'll probably want to have some type of oversight over it, and have that human check and balance almost. So
that makes sense.
I see a point where AI is doing a lot of it with just looks in every now and then.
Yeah, I got you. I think that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Then I have one question left, which is going to be like from a Luna perspective, a really selfish one, because of course we want to figure out what the ultimate platform is that we need to build, and how we can make the lives of everyone listening as easy as possible. If you were to, like, basically resources are not a problem, time is not a problem, anything is possible. Is there something that you're missing currently in your sales process? It doesn't have to be AI, it just can be anything, where you're like, oh man, if a tool or like a platform or like an AI and sales tool could do this, that would be the end of the world. It would almost be too good to be true.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say if there was a tool that could almost be programmed to, scrape different information as far as, hey, I know my customers are hanging out in, this type forum or this type message board, or, this Facebook group, or this, this LinkedIn group, and being able to almost just scrape all that information for me, look for intent signals. I think that would be most helpful, honestly. I think everybody's, there's a lot of different platforms that are trying to move into the, hey, we do everything from, a huge contact database to sequencing emails to, intent data to, whatever it is. They're going to keep adding those modules to it. But if I don't have the right people to reach out to, and I'm just, going the shotgun method and trying to see what, see what hits, it's not going to be as effective.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That would certainly be very cool, especially if you can go into those groups, read the messages, and just see what's trending, what people are struggling with, and target them based on that. That would be cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
That's very cool. So we've come to the end of this this interview. Before we close it off, Tyler, is there anything that you want to share with the people out there listening? Like anything about LiveReach, about yourself, anything that you want?
Yeah, no. Appreciate the conversation. Been fantastic. I'm happy to connect with anybody. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I feel like I've been around the sales world for a while, so happy to answer questions, mentor, just be helpful, right? So
that sounds awesome. And just to be sure, the website for LiveReach, it's LiveReach.ai, right?
Correct.
So people can figure it out, check it out, and see if it can be worthwhile for them. Thanks so much, Tyler, for taking the time, jumping on this conversation, and sharing all of the insights that you have shared. It was a great conversation indeed. For everyone tuning in and listening, thank you so much for being here for this episode, and hopefully see you again at the next one. Cheers.
Yeah.